Hi, I'm Mike. Winter is nipping at our heels, and there's a lot to get done around here before it hits for real. So today we put the Model T and the Firetruck to bed for winter, and we take a look at the history behind both of them. It's what we're calling Cold Storage 2, on the project list on our Wyoming Life. Welcome back, and if this is your first time here, let me thank you for coming and checking out our channel, and let me get you caught up really quick. My wife Erin and I came to the ranch a few years ago after working in corporate radio for most of our lives. Her stepdad, Gilbert's health was failing, and he needed help. We took a little time off to feed for the winter. We never left. Now we have a chance to bring you along with us as we explore the ranch life and escape the ordinary 3 times per week right here on YouTube. Today, we're working on the project list. A list here in the shop that I get to bring you along with me every Tuesday as we try to whittle it down to something a little bit more manageable. Problem is, it grows faster than it shrinks. We take something off the list and 3 things go on, but I guess that's job security. Today's goal is to get the Firetruck and the Model T put away for winter. Now there's a lot of history behind both of those vehicles, and we're going to get into that here in just a little bit, but first let's head out and look and see where they're going to spend the winter. The ranch itself is over 5,000 acres here in northeast Wyoming. A state highway cuts through the ranch and leaves us with a few hundred acres on the other side of the road. That's where we're going to be working today. On this side of the road is the original ranch house, which I'm in the process of remodeling. The horses and bulls live over here, along with our steers that we'll be finishing this spring. In addition, there's an old barn over here, a barn which during the winter is used primarily for storage. You might remember it from our Picking on the Ranch episode, where we went through and found quite a few treasures in here. But today, we don't have time to lollygag. Today, we need to clean it out and get it ready to hold more equipment. The problem is that during the summer, any storage is good storage. Things need to be put away somewhere, and an empty building, well, those are in short supply around here. Once everything is pulled out in the spring, then it starts to fill up with odds and ends. Everything from an old fridge to spare saddles to a snowblower and Erin's plastic from the garden. All of this needs to be organized and set away. Most everything in here, however, needs to stay in here. I can't just be shuffling stuff around. If I do, I'll lose it. And right now, I know what's here and what's not, I think. So we can get a start by cleaning up a small alcove in the barn that will hopefully hold everything in here with just a little bit of help. All this old furniture came off of Gilbert's original old ranch house from the North Ranch. It was actually north of town, hence the name. The ranch is long gone, but some of the furniture was saved for a future project and spare time. With some space made, we can start shuffling around and getting some of this stuff out of the way. An old sleigh will stay in here for the winter. Erin's plastic that she uses in the winter gardens to protect her vegetables from sub-zero temperatures, well, it's rolled up and moved aside. A couple of saddles are put where we can get to them if we need them. And we bring in a tool that's going to make this job about 20 times easier, a pallet jack. Just like you'd see in any warehouse, this thing will allow us to move these pallets around easily and get them tightly arranged to save space. I must have been thinking a little bit ahead, although I don't remember it, and put most everything on pallets. Bins of bolts that need to be organized, a snowblower that needs a new engine or at least an overhaul, a bandsaw that I rarely use anymore. And then there's Erin's water tank that she uses to water the high tunnels in the coldest of winter months, utilizing a sump pump to water plants when the water lines over the gardens are turned off to combat freezing. This thing, I don't know what to do with, so we're going to move it out of the way for now. Then there's an old Zenith fridge that I hope to get back up and working someday, and a stack of chairs that we use at branding and other functions on the ranch. All of it is stowed away and packed tightly together to make room that we need. All of the plastic is stored off to the side where it's easily accessible, as I'm sure that Erin's going to need it soon. And then we can grab the Bobcat and get Erin's water tank and find out what to do with it. After finding Erin in the high tunnel, we can see where she wants it. and into the shop it goes, somewhere warm to keep the water from freezing. Back over at the barn, it's not a bad idea to run a broom through the place. I know at some point I'm going to be down on the concrete doing something over here. Might as well make it a bit nicer for myself. And now, with a nice cleaned out garage, we can start filling it back up again, starting with the Model T. This is a 1924 Model T 1-ton truck. It was originally purchased from our local Ford dealer, which was Gillette Motors back in 1925 for $900. I found it in a barn shortly after coming to the ranch and asked Gilbert if I could start tinkering with it. He said as long as it doesn't cost him any money, he was fine with it, and truth be told, it took a little bit to get it up and running. Unfortunately, Gilbert passed away before he could see it out driving around again. But this truck, it very much represents all that Gilbert was. Old, dirty, ornery, but functional. I love having it around, but now it's time to put it to bed. After taking it over by the shop, we add some fuel additive to it. Back in the day, there was no such thing as unleaded fuel. For this engine to run properly, we have to add lead back into the unleaded gas that we get nowadays. With that done, it's off to the barn and a nap for this old girl. The best thing about driving this thing around the ranch is the looks that you get from traffic passing by. It's always worth a second glance, but soon she is out of sight, but never out of mind. Oddly enough, tires are the most expensive part of this truck. So in order to lengthen the life of them, we're going to jack it up and put it on jack stands for storage, taking the weight off the tires and hopefully getting them to last a few more seasons. With that done, it's back to the other side of the road, this time to winterize the Firetruck and get it put away as well. The Firetruck is a 1955 Howe fire cruiser on an International 185 chassis. We bought it a few years ago to keep it on the ranch, not only for fire suppression, but also as a big water tank to refill stock tanks for animals if we have a well that goes down. It's been used in the winter for just that purpose, so we want to keep it where we can get to it if we need it. And we also want it to be ready to go. Winterizing is pretty simple for it. We keep fuel stabilizer in it all the time, but we do need to make sure that none of the plumbing freezes and breaks. To that end, we fill up the pump with RV antifreeze as well as the water storage tank. Now, we drained it ahead of time, but adding a couple gallons will help any water that might still be in there not to freeze. There is a lot of history behind this old fire truck. This truck was originally the fire truck for a small town in Montana called Opheim. It was way up on the Canadian, almost on the Canadian border, and up until the early 2000s, this truck was used as a town fire truck. Now, it's a 1955. It has just over 6,000 miles on it, so it didn't see that much action. But there are a few good stories behind it, like the key that's soldered in place. The story is that one day there was a fire, and nobody could find the key for the fire truck. They searched high and low, and eventually it was found in a volunteer firefighter's pants pocket. The fire chief at the time then decided that they would never lose the key again and soldered it in place. Great for ease of use. Bad if you're worried about it getting stolen. Luckily, it's loud, and it can't get above about 50 miles an hour. So if somebody starts it, you know it right away. When we got this truck, it was like it just pulled out of the firehouse. All the equipment was still there, including gas masks and old fire helmets. It's very cold-blooded, and it really needs a tune-up, but that's another thing for the list. Looking back, I probably should have done some measuring, but luckily, we barely fit in the barn. And with that, both of the historical pieces on the ranch are put away. One last touch are the battery tenders, which will keep the batteries in tip-top condition and ready to come out in the spring when both of these trucks will be put back to work, proving you're never too old to play your part on the ranch. These guys take up valuable real estate on the ranch, and although they aren't worth much in the monetary sense, they do mean a lot to us. The ranch is all about history. Every year we put down in the books is a year that someday somebody's going to look back on, and I guess maybe they'll just wonder what we did, how we did it, and why. That's why I love this old equipment and try to take care of it. We don't mind if the paint is faded or chipped, if it's rusty or worn. We love the story behind it and the history within it. Thanks for helping me make history right here. Someday our kids are going to look back on this time on the ranch as a milestone. Everything we do is for them so that they can make their own history. Now we have plenty more to make it through, and I hope that you can subscribe and come along with us for the ride. Hit that notification button so you don't miss a thing, and find us on Facebook for updates and happenings that you can't find anywhere else. I'm off on another adventure. But until I see you again, have a great week, and thanks for joining us in our Wyoming Life.